We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and your friends if you want to support this College Football Rebel Outpost channel with a donation. Hit the $ where you make a comment and I will get to you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the very corner inside Heisman City on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend with your comments in the chat room and with your phone calls later in the show. This is, you know what this is. Greg the Gold. I was 500 in week 2. I'm going to be well above 500 in week 3. And maybe if the PATC community, maybe if you all listen to me, maybe you can be above 500 as well. Here we go. Here we go, baby. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Golden is 500. No, it's not. No, it's not, Patrick. But this week, we're going over 500. Week 3, we've got 12 games on the docket, and I'm going first. You're going second. Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. Here we go. Greg the Cooler is no more. Starting now. Starting now. Grab the brass ring. We're going 10-2 this week. 10-2. Okay, we're going to get into it real quick. I want to thank everybody who's come on in first. And we're also going to talk about, again, this story is going to go into 2025, just like the UConn Big 12 story, just like the ACC, Florida State, Clemson, all that is going into 2025. And so is the drama that is going on in the Holy Smokes Theater, PAC 2 and Friends. We gave you all an update. We gave you a little bit of Cloak and Dagger, episode 46 of Early Peak Cloak and Dagger, membership only episode. If you're not a member, if you want to be a member, go to the link provided in the description box below the video. Hit the link, then hit the join button. We are going to push the envelope just a little bit more today on our live show. It is, as we've been told here at Peek Around the Corner, the chatter behind the curtain looks like there is a developing Texas two-step. Texas two-step in the creation of the new Pac-12. Again, there's a whole lot of dominoes that have to fall before Washington State and Oregon State can really get this thing accomplished. First of all, it is the ACC implosion. Is it going to happen within the next 9 months? Because at some point, if it doesn't, Washington State and Oregon State are not going to have that as their number one option. Obviously, it's their number one option for the ACC to implode and backfill with an Oregon State, Washington State to make out that Western wing. But if it doesn't happen soon enough, they're going to have to go to the creation, the Frankenstein, a new G5 conference. And we're going to have to start talking about G6. And I'm not talking ACC. I'm talking about there could be 6 G5 conferences here in the next couple of years. We're not going to get into that today, but we are going to get into it pretty soon. We're going to have to. But anyways, going back to Washington State and Oregon State, the Texas two-step, the state of Texas is going to be a factor when it comes to the final decisions in creation of the new PAC-8, PAC-10, PAC-12. The state of Texas is going to be a big factor. Okay. Greg the Cooler, not this week, baby. Not this week. Texas State would be at this point in time, we're going to go into it at the back end of our monologue, but I would put Texas State as a long shot. In the mix, but a long shot. We're going to be going through it as what we are being told as of the last couple weeks. We'll get into it. Okay, let me thank everybody who's come on in. Then we're going to go to our selections, and then we're going to get to the old Texas two-step. James Foster is in the house. The Walking Geek is in the house. T-Ducks, Preston from Greensboro, Steel Austin, Lee Go Gators, Patrick Baylor Bear, Taylor Mott, Sheep and Wolves Clothing, Antoine Codes, Dark Moon is back in the house, Vox Quindaro, Skaven, yes. Joaquin Morales, thank you for always reminding everybody not to forget to smash the like button. It helps us with the algorithm of YouTube so very much. As long as YouTube keeps us on the air. We've been having some technical issues. We are praying that doesn't happen on today's show. We'll see what happens. Dave B is in the house. Mr. Louisville Cardinal ALC is in the house. AMAC Jose, Mr. USC, got to be feeling pretty good. Jan Hulk is in the house. On Wisconsin, the Eva Badger, Ryan Willie is here. He is in the house. John Dry. Tracy FSU, just dipping in for a second. I appreciate it. I read a report that Tallahassee Airport just received a $20 million grant for improvements. That's good. That is good. That's good. We'll probably have to talk about that at a later date. Charlie Atwood is in the house. Check it out. Is in the house. Rice. Again. It's all about relationships. And it's all about what your media partner is willing to do. And it's all about finding the right blend. We don't have the answers for that today, but this is part of the talks. Oregon State and Washington State in this new conference, they do not want to make the mistakes of the past. They do not want to make the mistakes of the Pac-12 when it was a power conference, the mistakes that the Pac-12 made. We've been told that Oregon State and Washington State, if they can make it happen, and they're going to try, they're going to include the state of Texas in their new G5 conference, just how the ACC has it, just like how the Sun Belt has it. So we are in a situation, it's probably going to happen. And we're going to try to figure out what is going to happen to give you the peek around the corner. We are giving you this peek. Not a whole lot of people are talking about it. There is one Texas team that stands out above the rest, and then there is that second team that there is going to be a scramble for. We are going to get into it. John Dry. No Tulane and Memphis for the PAC. Are they going to be interested? That's the question. Are they going to be interested? I don't think so. It could change. But at this point, we do not think so. College Football Mafia is in the house. Nice to see you as well. Richard L., Mr. Colorado Buffalo, is in the house. John Dry says North Texas and Rice are both better than UTSA, UTEP, and Texas State. The Red Raiders, hopefully my Red Raiders can beat North Texas on Saturday. Okay, thank you for all joining us at the start of the show. Again, smash the like button. If you like our content, please subscribe if you haven't done so. If you want to support this channel through a donation, hit the $sign, we make a comment, and I'll get to Super Chat as quick as I can. But for right now, we are heading into selection week 3. We're going to touch on a some news coming through the last 24, 48 hours. Expansion is working out pretty well for the Big Ten Network. College football average audience up 46%. Total viewing time up a whopping 148% through week 2, thanks to some extra early season games. So again, what these networks love, what these conference networks love, is live content. Give me more live content. It's more viewership and it's more ad money. You can charge at larger ad rate. This is why the Longhorn Network did not work. This is why a standalone schools network is not going to work, because really it's the live content that drives it. This was one of the... It's not just about, of course, it's about market, it's about adding more subscribers, but it's about viewership numbers, it's about adding more and more live content year-round that people are going to be willing to watch. So you can have more Big Ten Network baseball games, softball games, UCLA, softball, go on and on and on and on. This is why, this is not a good example, but you're gonna see the example in the spring and summer. The Big Ten and the SEC have no interest whatsoever in splitting out their football from the rest of the sports in the conference. I keep hearing about how schools and administrators want football-only conference and then have their Olympic sports go back into the regions. I can tell you, the Big Ten is not interested. Not at all. Just to throw that out there once again. Again, the subscriptions, they've gone up a little bit because of the expansion, but overall we know that subscriber numbers have been going down with the SEC network, Big Ten Network, ESPN, and all these cable channels. But it is the viewership number. It is the ad rates. They're charging more and more for it. In fact, the Big Ten is Nielsen rated. They choose to do it so to show their advertisers, look at the numbers we are getting. It's not as big as ESPN. Of course it's not. The football games on the Big Ten Network are not going to get the viewership as the other conferences. It doesn't need to. It's that third tier. It's that third tier value. They're squeezing a whole lot of juice out of that turnip. I'm telling you. So is the ACC network. And of course the SEC network. But anyways, just drop that little bit of news. And then we've got some quarterback news. Some quarterback changes. Breaking. Coach Rhett Lashley announces Kevin Jennings will be the starting quarterback for SMU moving forward. Holy smokes. Preston Stone. He's dropped like a rock, like a stone. What happened? What happened? What's going on? I know Kevin Jennings has a lot of talent. I get it. He's going to have to get developed. Look, Preston Stone, man, I'm going to say this right now. I know he's not a top-tier quarterback. But he had some really good moments last year. I mean, a lot of good moments last year. And if he chose, and you got to think he will, going to go into the portal next year. He's still a senior, still got one more eligibility. If he ain't going to play more than 4 games, he'll go in the portal and he'll have some offers out there. This is one of those things that I did not see happening at the beginning of the year. Kirk Ferentz says that quarterback Cade McNamara needs to play. And expresses confidence in him. Adds that he's missed a lot of time and that Iowa needs to help him more at all positions. I think he can play better, and I think he will play better. So, Brendan Sullivan, the backup quarterback, it doesn't look like it's his time now. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. And I think Immaculate and others have kind of slowed my roll, saying, Greg, you know Kirk Ferentz, he's not going to make a quick change. Cade McNamara is going to be the quarterback, and Cade McNamara, we're going to be seeing you, 11 days from now, Huntington Bank Stadium, Saturday night on NBC, the Hawkeyes versus my beloved Golden Gophers. Cade McNamara, you better be ready. And another breaking news here. Notre Dame quarterback Riley Leonard injured his posterior labrum on his non-throwing shoulder in Saturday's loss against Northern Illinois. He's still expected to play on Saturday at Purdue. My goodness. This is Riley Leonard. One of his best aspects is he's a big dude who runs the ball effectively. Well, he's not going to be running the ball effectively with an injured labrum on his opposite shoulder that he throws the ball. He ain't running. And if he ain't running, he's going to be a whole lot less effective. So we're going to be making the selection between Notre Dame and Purdue on this show right now. Who do you got? I mean, Purdue's going to have the better quarterback in the game. Purdue, a team that I really still don't I still don't have them doing well this year. But the line is only, I think, 10 and a half. We'll check it out in a moment. I don't know, man. This is startling. Okay, let's get into it. I'm going to do the picks first. Sue. The Big Ten should let hockey go its own way. They hardly televise it. Oh, they televise games. Because I watch them. If they don't use overflow channels to broadcast games, there should be more games. No question about it. But yeah, why don't the North Dakota, whatever you want to call them nowadays, North Dakota hockey program, why don't you join the Big Ten? Instead of trying to fracture the Big Ten to go to the NCHC. Anyways, this is a football program. We'll get into that at a later date when it's more hockey time. Here we go. We're going to make our picks right now. I'm going to go first. I'm going to go through all 12 games. The PATC is going to vote. We're going to go through this, and then we're going to get to the Texas two-step story. The PAC-2 and friends inside the Holy Smokes Theater. Yes, we are going into the Holy Smokes Theater later in the monologue. Arizona State at Texas State. Again, can anybody tell me what is the condition of Ismail Mahdi, the great running back of Texas State? I cannot get the information. Mahdi. M-A-H-D-I. If you want to Google it right now, go ahead. I believe he got nicked up in the game against UTSA last week. Jordan McLeod doing great work. Mahdi doing great work. Joey Herbert, the great wide receiver for the Bobcats, doing great work. Arizona State Levitt, he's had a so-so start. Cam Scatterbo, the great running back, 311 yards. They've got the Carlos Brooks, who I've always liked. Big senior. When they've given him the ball, they haven't given him too much in 2 games, but when they have, he's had success. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I believe there's something wrong with Ismail Mahdi. And so I am taking the Arizona State at -2. I do not want to do it, but there's something going on with Mr. Mahdi. We are going to be doing a watch party Thursday night. We're going to be doing this game, so if you want to join us, have some fun, put down your comments in real time and call us at halftime at the end of the game. We're going to be doing this very important Arizona State, Texas State Thursday night game. And yes, I do think it's important for Dillingham's program. If he can go 3-0, if Texas State can win this game and keep right on pace with the other top G5 schools to try to be their lone representative in the college football playoffs, I think it's going to be a very important game. But I got to take Arizona State because I think we might have an injury problem at Texas State. I do not know that for sure. Arizona at Kansas State. Again, you all are going to be voting on these games, so get ready. No Fafita, 595 yards, 65% completion percentage, 5 touchdown passes, a good start. McMillan, of course, the great wide receiver. He's already got over 300 yards in 2 games receiving. Quali Conley is the guy I do not talk about enough. Shame on me. He's been doing it for years. I mean, he had a great 2023 season. He had a great 2022 season. The running back from Arizona, Quali Conley, is a great college running back. He's already gone over 200 yards in 2 games, 7.5 average. And then you look at Kansas State. I think Avery Johnson is doing just fine. People have been complaining maybe he's gotten a little bit of a slow start. I think that was the expectations. I think Avery Johnson is meeting his expectations. DJ Giddens, he's carrying the load as we expected, 238 yards, almost 7.5 yards per rush. The question I have in this game, and I know that Arizona defense is, at best, in my opinion, it's going to be middle of the road in the Big 12. And Kansas State's defense was supposed to give them the edge. But what I saw against Tulane is making me worry. So what I'm going to do in this game, I'm going to do the back end cover Arizona. They're going to go through the back door. They're going to 7.5. They're going to be down by 14. They're going to get that late touchdown. Arizona is going to cover the plus 7.5. Alabama, Wisconsin. Milroe, decent start. Completing almost 66% of his passes. Kalen DeBoer is new head coach. They've got a new system. He's thrown 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jam Miller and Justice Hayes doing the work on the ground for Bama. Something that they did not get going last year. Bama's rushing game this year seems to be largely improved over last year. Jam Miller almost rushing for 10 yards per carry. Justice Hayes, almost 9 yards per carry. Both have 2 touchdowns. And, well, Wisconsin, they don't quite have their running game going yet. And I don't think Tyler Van Dyke is going to walk in at Madison and beat Alabama. It's going to have to be their running game. Malusi is only averaging 3.8 yards per rush. Will Pauling has become the superstar, the wide receiver of Wisconsin. Under Longo, the offensive coordinator, right? They're trying to throw the ball more at Wisconsin, but I think the walls cave in, unfortunately. Unfortunately for Tyler Van Dyke, I've got Alabama covering the spread minus 16. Minus 16. The next game. Thank you so much, Evil Badger, Ryan Willie. I will get to you. I will get to your incredible generosity when I'm done with the picks, before we get into the picks of you guys, the PATC community. Thank you so much, Evil Badger, Ryan Willie. LSU versus South Carolina. Well, I was incredibly wrong on the Gamecocks last week, and so was the PATC community. I'm going against the Gamecocks again. -7. I don't mean to be... If LSU doesn't cover this game, thank you, Jimmy, so much for your gift and membership. I will get to it when I'm done with my picks. Thank you so much for your generosity. And, of course, the Evil Badger, Ryan Willie. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Helping us keep the lights on here. LSU, South Carolina. Lenoris Sellers. I'm not buying the quarterback of South Carolina. I am not buying it. Rocket Sanders, the transfer from Arkansas, he's averaging 3.8 yards per rush. Everybody is stacking the box against the Gamecocks. Nobody sees Lenoris Sellers as a threat to pass it. I know LSU is having some difficulties on defense, but this is a simple game for them to defend. And Nussmeier has been absolutely fantastic. Now, hopefully Josh Williams, hopefully Mr. Caleb Jackson can get going a little bit on the run game for LSU. John Emery is out for the season, so it's going to be Williams and Jackson. Hopefully they can get going a little bit. You got, Kyron Lacey, Aaron Anderson, the great tight end, Mason Taylor. You've got all these weapons, and Nussmeier is using them. I'm getting really excited about LSU's offense this year. I was wrong on Nussmeier. I've apologized. I'm going to apologize all year long. LSU covers the spread easily. Greg the Gold, easily. LSU covers the spread. Memphis, Florida State. Well, I'm going to be very interested to see what you guys pick on this game. We know about Florida State's issues. Now, Jalen Lucas, the young man, the running back, they wanted to get him more and more involved in the offense as the season goes on. A whole lot of speed while he's out for the season with an injury. DJ Ungole had a rough start. I am not all that convinced that Florida State's wide receiver room is not very good. The defense should rise to the occasion, but here is the problem. Memphis is going into Florida State, but this Memphis team, the reason why most people have either Boise State or Memphis representing the G5 in the playoffs is because of their senior leadership. Memphis is full of senior leadership. And it's not just the quarterback. Well, okay, the quarterback, Seth Hennigan. We talked about him. I don't know what year. I think this is year 6. He has played so much football for Memphis. This situation isn't going to scare him. He's off to an incredible start. 70% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. But it's not just him. They've got the senior running back, Mario Anderson, who's got 170 plus yards, 6.3 yards per rush. They've got Rock Taylor, the senior wide receiver that leads the receive. It's senior. So I am taking Memphis to cover the spread. I do not think this situation is going to scare them. Now, Florida State might dominate this game, and if they do, tip to the cap to the Seminoles, and they might be on their way. They might be on their way to having a good season. Not a great season, obviously, but maybe they can turn it around. But I think Memphis is a very scary opponent because of their senior leadership. Boston College at Mizzou. Well, Thomas Castellanos, the quarterback of Boston College, while they haven't asked too much of him in the passing game, when he has set back and thrown the ball, he's been incredibly efficient. But it's not their passing game that's going to ride the Boston College offense to victory during the season, as they hope. It's going to be that three-headed monster running back room. Trayshawn Ward, Kyle Robichaud, and then that true freshman that we've been talking about. You and I, we've been talking about it. Turbo Richard, he has taken over. I think he's going to be RB1 going forward. He's got a lot of juice. But then you're looking at Missouri, Brady Cook, Luther Burden, Theo Weiss Jr. Theo's already got 16 catches. Luther Burden, you know about him, of course. Brady Cook is off to a hot start, just like he was last year. I think Missouri's going to win this game, but I think they're only going to win it by 2 touchdowns. I think Boston College, remember Missouri's issues on defense, rush defense. I think Boston College is going to have a couple possessions that are going to chew the clock. You're going to have less possessions. Missouri wins this game by 2 touchdowns, but they're not going to win this game by 17 or more points. The line is minus 16.5. I'm taking the Boston College Eagles plus 16.5. Oregon State. I'm going to make this quick. Giovanni McCoy, good. Kind of good story. Jam Griffin. Anthony Harkinson, 2 decent running back for Oregon State. They produced very well in the first 2 weeks. But I think Oregon solves their problems in Corvallis. Dylan Gabriel, Jordan James. You still got the Ethan Stewart, Terrence Ferguson, the great tight end. Holden, the great receiver, Trayshawn Holden, of course, Tez Johnson. They've got too many weapons. Oregon is too good of a team. Dylan Gabriel, 84.3% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Maybe they need to throw the ball downfield more, but I think Oregon gets it corrected, and Oregon is going to cover the spread of minus 16.5. Thank you, Stormy Cyclone. We'll get to that. We'll get to your super chat in a moment. Thank you so much for your incredible generosity. Thank you, sir. Notre Dame and Purdue. Again, as we've covered, Riley Leonard has an injured labrum in his non-throwing shoulder. I could go on, and we've talked about Notre Dame's issues. We've talked about their wide receiver room. Bo Collins is the only one producing. Bo Collins seems to be the only one who can get separation for those 10-yard out pattings where you need a 3rd and 6 completion to keep the ball. to keep the ball. Bo Collins seems to be the only cat in the room who can get consistent separation. Their tight ends, Mitchell Evans is still, he's not recovered from his injury. He's not. But I've got severe issues with Purdue. Devin Maccabee, they've lost a whole lot of talent last year. Devin Maccabee is a good running back, but they lost the wide receiver Burks, who went to Oklahoma. I believe that Notre Dame does cover the spread. On the road, I think the Fighting Irish get a defensive pick six against Hudson Card. And I've got Notre Dame winning this game by about 13. It's a close one. I know a lot of people are predicting a complete upset, but I've got to go with the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. I'm not convinced on Purdue at all, but we're going to find out. Texas A&M, Florida. This is going to be a simple one. Conor Weigman, what happened to you? What has happened to Conor Weigman? I don't know if it's the new system of Mike Elko. I don't know if he hasn't recovered from his injury, severe injury of last year. There's something wrong. Again, for the ninth year in a row, there's something wrong with the Texas A&M Aggies passing offense. They cannot push the ball down the field with any efficiency whatsoever. I don't know if it's putting on the Texas A&M Aggie uniform. That's what I think about the Golden Gophers. You put on the Golden Gopher uniform, suddenly you can't throw the ball, suddenly you can't catch the ball. Is that how it is down at College Station in Kyle Field? Something is wrong. Until I see something, guys, you guys are gonna think my cheese has slipped off my cracker. But DJ Legway, he had a decent start in his first start. You know, the hyped up quarterback. I'm going Florida. I'm going Florida. I'll take Eugene Wilson. I'll take Montrell Johnson. The talent that the Gators have at wide receiver and running back over Le'Veon Moss and whatever the Texas A&M wide receivers are being thrown out there. I have not. Mike Elko has a. It ain't working yet. It ain't working. Of course, he's going to get some time, but it ain't working. I think the Gators win this game, not just cover, but win the game. I've got the Florida Gators, and I know most of you think I am crazy, and I might be crazy. Jimmy says, oh my, I think Greg has started putting cheese in his taco. That's not happening, but I understand if Jimmy thinks I'm nuts. But something ain't working right now. Now that game's at the Swamp, but I'm taking Florida. Washington State versus Washington. John Matier show. He's doing it all for the Cougars. The quarterback is thrown for 467 yards, a bunch of touchdowns, one interception. He's ran the ball for 252 yards. 252 yards, an average of 11 yards per rush. It's been the John Matier show for the Washington State Cougars. Wayshawn Parker is a really good running back Well, he's had a very good start of the season. Now, Washington, Will Rogers is clicking on all cylinders. 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, almost 80% completion. Coleman, the running back, is rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Out at 8.6 yards per rush. Way over 200 yards on the ground in the first 2 games. Possession receiver, Giles Jackson. Washington's got it going, and I don't think the Washington State Cougars show, the John Mateer show, is going to continue on with success this week. I've got the Huskies big over the Cougars. Only giving up 5. I think the Huskies win this by possibly 3 touchdowns. This is one of my biggest locks of the week. Washington Huskies over the Washington State Cougars. West Virginia, Pittsburgh. The backyard brawl. Now let's keep this simple. Eli Holstein versus Garrett Green. I am taking West Virginia to cover. But this one was the most difficult game for me to pick. Desmond Reed, Pittsburgh. Konata Mumfield, the great wide receiver, the transfer from Akron a couple years ago. These guys are top-level players. I'm taking Garrett Green. He's got more experience. He's been in the wars. He got it going against Albany. He shook off that first week game, I hope. I think C.J. Donaldson's going to be rumbling for some yards, some key yards. Donaldson's a big key. I've got West Virginia winning this game by 6 points. This is going to be a dogfight. This game is not going to be a blowout. It's going to be close. I've got West Virginia just barely covering. In the last game, on the docket. And then we're going to go to the PATC community. Your vote. Indiana at UCLA. This is tough because UCLA has barely played. Indiana, Curtis Rourke, the transfer from Ohio Bobcats to Indiana. The quarterback has been unbelievable under Signetti. Justice Ellison has been unbelievable. The running back, 185 yards, almost 10 yards per carry. They've got another good running back, Tyson Lawton. Omar Cooper has been lighting it up, 25 yards per catch. Over the Indiana Hoosiers offensive numbers are staggering. Now they're going to go to UCLA. The Bruins' first Big Ten game. Going to be some emotion. There might be some tightness. I don't know. Ethan Garbers, they were not good against Hawaii. Rico Flores, the wide receiver, the transfer from Notre Dame, you got to get going. But there is no way I am not taking the Indiana Hoosiers. The Hoosiers -3 looks like to be a gift. For me, it looks like to be a gift. So, before I get to your kind super chats and your memberships, I'm going to go over my picks. Greg the Gold's pick for week 3. Arizona State, Arizona, Alabama, LSU, Memphis, Oregon, Notre Dame, Florida, Washington, West Virginia, and Indiana. Those are my picks for week 3. And I'm going no less than 10-2. 10-2. That is my goal for week 3. Ryan, Willie, thank you so much for your membership, for your gifted memberships. Phil, Robbie Heck Music, Hayden Maxwell, Marquez Stiggers, and Timothy Hoshin. Please say thank you to Ryan Willie for his incredible generosity. When you get a moment, please say thank you to him. All 5 of you and Ryan, once again, are officially knighted, cloak, and dagger. Now that you have a gift membership, you can go watch our episode 46 from yesterday morning. Go check it out. Go check out the other episodes as well. Membership only episodes, early peak, cloak, and dagger. Thank you so much, Ryan Willie. Jimmy, thank you once again for your gifted membership. And Traveler A, you were gifted a membership by Jimmy. If you get a chance, please say thank you to Jimmy for his incredible generosity once again. Jimmy and Traveler, you are both officially knighted, cloak, and dagger. That cloak and dagger, that early peak episode 46, we're going to expand on it. We're going to drop a little bit more information on this live show. We held back. We didn't give it all on our episode 46. Now on this live show, we're going to be pushing the envelope just a little bit more. What the chatter behind the curtain is definitely seeing, believing what they're being told. So we're going to get into it. So stay around after you all guys vote on the picks for week 3. The weekly Ryan Thomas, the weekly Greg the Reaper picks of death. I went 6-6 last week. That's still losing because of the juice. I get it. But my goodness, I have the momentum. The fat guy from Minnesota has the momentum. And when I have the momentum, holy smokes, just try to stop me. The PATC community, if you guys were smart, you would copy all of my 12 picks. When we go into your voting right now, copy all of my 12 picks, and you're going to be in a good spot. Stormy Cyclone Harvest starting soon. Keep the lights on. I will still listen in. Thank you, Stormy Cyclone. Harvest is starting soon. Down probably somewhere in Ames, Iowa. Thank you for your incredible generosity. Thank you for your super chat. Thank you so very much. I'm glad. Look, I took Iowa State over Iowa. I said Iowa State was going to win the game. I also said the Cyclones were going to blow the doors off the Hawkeyes. That did not quite happen. Okay? That did not quite happen. My bad. But they did win the game. And when I picked Iowa State to beat Iowa, this is a lesson, everybody. When I predicted Iowa State to beat Iowa, when I predicted Iowa State to cover against Iowa, the Cyclone fans in the chat room did not say, "Oh no, Greg picked my team." No, they said, "Thank you, Greg. We believe in you, Greg the Gold. We believe in you." That's what you all should be doing. That's what the West Virginia fans should be doing because I picked West Virginia. That's what the Bama fans should be saying because I picked Bama. That's what the Gator fans, that's what Washington fans. You got to believe. To achieve, you got to believe first. So, let's get to your Greg the Golden Sombrero. All right, thank you guys. Again, thank you for your generosity. Super chats, we'll get to them as fast as we possibly can. Now let's get into the PATC selections. Okay? Let's get into your votes. Starting with Arizona State and Texas State. This Thursday night, We're going to be doing a watch party on this. What is going on here? Will Arizona State cover the -2 point spread versus Texas State? Yes, Arizona State. No, Texas State. Yes, Arizona State. No, you're taking Texas State. The voting begins now. The voting begins now. I already picked Arizona State, Joaquin Morales. Because Ismail Mahdi, I don't know the health of their great running back. And nobody would tell me. I can't find the information anywhere. And that includes the chat room. I think you guys are hiding the information. Okay, right now we've got a blowout. I'm going to give you 10 more seconds. 10 more seconds. 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We've got a blowout. The PATC community agrees with me. Taking Arizona State. I wanted to take Texas State. They're my pick to be the G5 representative in the playoffs. But I think they have an injury problem. I think they do. I think they do. Richard L., I'm hoping that Greg avoids our games for the rest of the season. Holy smokes. Steve, we all know Greg's track record the last 2 seasons. Just saying, well, it's got to turn around sometime. And why not this week? Why not this week? Arizona at Kansas State. Kansas State is favored by 7.5. Will Kansas State cover the -7.5 point spread versus Arizona? Yes, you're taking Kansas State. No, you are taking Arizona. The voting begins now. Antoine Codes. I wish I had that information about 20 minutes ago. I can't change my pick now. So Mahdi's going to be okay. We got a close vote here. Kansas State, Arizona. This is a very close vote. It could go either way. Joaquin Morales. I'm blaming you, Greg. If the Sun Devils lose the game, I'm blaming you for flipping your pick and putting the jinx on the Sun Devils. I'm going to give you 5 more seconds. This is a close vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Arizona, the PATC community, 56% of the vote takes Arizona to cover, getting 7.5 points against Kansas State. Alabama against Wisconsin in Madison. 16 seems to be a lot of points. Will Alabama, excuse me, cover the -16 point spread versus Wisconsin? This is in Madison. Alabama going up north. Yes, you're taking Alabama and you're giving 16.5 points. No, you're taking Wisconsin and you are receiving 16 points. 16 both ways. Voting starts now. Going to give the vote 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 55% of the voters in the PATC community takes Wisconsin to cover the spread. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. You're taking Wisconsin plus 16. LSU, South Carolina. South Carolina shocked a whole lot of people by beating Kentucky. It was in Kentucky. They blew out Kentucky in Kentucky. Will LSU cover 7-point spread versus South Carolina? Yes, you're taking LSU. No, you're taking South Carolina. Voting begins now. Go Black 45. Be careful, Greg. I already took LSU. I already made my selections. Going to give the vote 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 67% of the voters took LSU. Not a surprise. Not a surprise. Okay. Here we go. Memphis at Florida State. Florida State is favored by 6.5 points. Will FSU cover minus 6.5? Will Florida State cover the minus 6.5 point spread versus Memphis? Yes, Florida State. If you vote no, you are taking Memphis. Voting begins now. Bearcat Steve says, depends on how much practice LSU gets in the next couple of days. Seems to be a bit of a weather moving in the next 48 hours. AMAC, South Carolina wins, defeats LSU, and Brian Kelly, the head coach of LSU, pops an eyeball. Holy smokes. It's a close vote, a really close vote. Will Florida State cover the 6.5 point spread versus Memphis? If you take yes, you got Florida State. If you go no, you're taking Memphis. It's 50-50. 5 seconds to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now we're in a sudden death. The next vote cast will decide it. One more vote. We need one more vote. There it is. No. That is it. No. Memphis is the pick. We had to go into sudden death in the PATC community. You guys barely took Memphis to cover the spread against Florida State. The PATC community was split in half. Boston College at Mizzou. Will Missouri cover the minus 16.5 point spread versus Boston College? Yes, you are taking Missouri. No, you are taking Boston College. The voting begins now. Going to give them 5 more seconds on the voting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 60% of the PATC votes say Missouri is not going to cover. The PATC community takes Boston College. Oregon at Oregon State. Will Oregon cover the minus 16.5 point spread versus Oregon State? Yes, you're taking Oregon. No, you're taking Oregon State. The Civil War. The voting begins now. Five more seconds with the votes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The biggest blowout of week 3 thus far. The PATC community is almost completely backing the Oregon State Beavers. You're going to think they're going to cover that 16.5 point spread at Corvallis against Oregon. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now this is another interesting one. Will Notre Dame cover minus 10 point spread versus Purdue? Yes, you got Notre Dame. No, you've got Purdue. The voting begins now. Giving you 5 more seconds. It's pretty close. Could go either way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Man, 52% said no. The vote kept flipping back and forth in the last 5 seconds. At the end, the PATC community took Purdue plus 10. All right, we got 4 more to go. PATC community. 4 more games to go. Then we're going to get to the Texas two-step. A little bit of more information we can give you regarding the PAC 2 and friends inside the Holy Smokes Theater. We're going to get to it after we are done with PATC making the picks against the spread here in week 3. We've got Florida, Texas A&M. Will Texas A&M cover the -4.5 point spread versus Florida? The voting begins now. Texas A&M, you take yes. If you want to take Florida, you take no. Aggies versus the Gators in the Swamp. I'm giving the votes 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. PATC community took Texas A&M, and it wasn't even close. No love for the Gators. PATC community takes Texas A&M. Washington State versus Washington. Will Washington cover -5 point spread versus Washington State? If you vote yes, you're taking the Huskies -5. If you're going to vote no, that means you're taking the Washington State Cougars. The vote begins now. Going to give you 5 more seconds to vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow, 61% took Washington. I also took Washington. I'm a little surprised. That the PATC community is backing the Huskies in this one. West Virginia at Pittsburgh. West Virginia at Pittsburgh. The backyard brawl. And again, it sounds like West Virginia might be giving up the Alabama series in the future so they can keep continuing with this series against Pittsburgh. I happen to think that would be a real good decision for the athletic department, for the ticket sales at West Virginia, and especially for Pittsburgh. Will West Virginia cover -3 point spread on the road versus their hated rival, the Pittsburgh Panthers? If you're going to vote yes, that means you're taking West Virginia to cover. If you're taking no, that means you're taking Pittsburgh. The voting begins now. Five more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a blowout. The PATC community still believes in the Mountaineers. Here is the last game. Last game on the docket. Will Indiana cover? I'm sorry. I got to post the game up first here. Will Indiana cover the -3-point spread versus the UCLA Bruins. If you're going to take Indiana, you take yes. If you're going to take UCLA, you take no. The voting begins now. It's a close vote. We're going to give it 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And at the very end, I believe the vote is no. 51% said Indiana would not cover the spread. Wow, that's a shocker. That is a shocker. Okay, so here it is. The PATC community, we both took Arizona State. Myself and you guys, Arizona State to cover. We both took Arizona to cover. I took Alabama. You all took Wisconsin. We both picked LSU. We both picked Memphis. I got Oregon. You got Oregon State. I've got Notre Dame. You've got Boston College. I'm sorry. I've got Notre Dame. You got Purdue. Excuse me. I've got Florida. You've got Texas A&M. We both got Washington. We both got West Virginia. I've got Indiana. And you've got UCLA. UCLA. Okay, thanks guys for doing that. Appreciate it. Our picks are in the books. And let's get to it. Hold on one second. I got a message here. I gotta read a message. A lot of things going on. We are going to talk about, we're going to push the envelope just a little bit more. Okay. Okay, so on our episode 46 of Early Peak Cloak and Dagger, which we dropped yesterday morning, we went through a little bit of a mailbag questionnaire. John Wilner, someone asked him about what's going on with the PAC in Washington State and Oregon State, and I'm not going to go through all that again, but basically what John Wilner is laying out what we laid out about 6 months ago, 7 months ago, 8 months ago. The 6 schools that we have on the stage in the Holy Smokes Theater: Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State, UNLV, Colorado State, and Air Force. John Wilner talked about 5 of those. He did not talk about Colorado State. We believe Colorado State is in that mix. The big story coming out of John Wilner's article, and we absolutely 100% agree. It's what the chatter is, that Boise State and San Diego State, they're the 2 that are straw in the drink when it comes to the Mountain West schools. And this is why we've had Boise State at the center of the stage and San Diego State sitting to the right of Boise State from day one. Boise State and San Diego State will not, according to John Wilner, and we happen to agree, Boise State and San Diego State will not be signing another media rights agreement with the Mountain West Conference as it currently exist. This current media contract goes to 2026. So the Mountain West Conference, if you are hoping or thinking or believing or you want to, whatever, thinking the Mountain West Conference is going to exist in 2027 as it does now, boy, oh boy, I do not think so. I think the chances of that happening are extremely low. Extremely low. John Wilner was pretty adamant. We have been told there is a lot of stuff. There is a lot of stuff going on. Not all those Mountain West schools, unfortunately, are going to be part of the new Pac-12. That's what we believe. And if it happens, if it's just a reverse merger, if it's a Pac-14 with Oregon State, Washington State, and the 12 current Mountain West Conference schools, if that's the end result, I will come on here and take the big L. Just don't expect it. There has been way too much work, way too much talk, way too much valuations. It's just there is too much of a gap. Now, maybe Washington State and Oregon State, as we reported a couple months ago, maybe they haven't gotten the valuation that they were hoping, but it's too much of a gap. And how they work on, as John Wilner said, for Boise State and for the Mountain West schools to leave the Mountain West before the end of its term, it's going to cost some money, but they're probably going to be able to negotiate it down. With some of that war chest money to be used, I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not even sure it matters, because there is a growing chatter that sometime in the spring, the late spring, early summer of 2025, we're going to be at the precipice of finding out the new PAC conference. Not going to happen in 2024. It's not going to happen in the first few months of 2025. At least this is what we've been told. And if you listen to John Wilner, if you read his article, I think you can come to the same conclusion. So again, this is just another story that's going to go on in 2025. But I'm telling you, the work, the talk is being done now. And it has been going on. It's why we open up the Holy Smokes Theater. So having said all that, the odds are increasing. There's going to be a Frankenstein conference, a newly created conference. Oregon State and Washington State taking the top schools in the Mountain West. And this is where we're going to push the envelope. UNLV is in that as well. UNLV is in that as well. It's Colorado State, UNLV, Air Force. Now, wait a second. It's Fresno State. It's Fresno State, Boise State, San Diego State, Colorado State, UNLV, Air Force. I'm going to have to relook at it. I'm going to have to relook at the email I received a couple days ago. Anyways, it's Fresno, it's San Diego State, Boise State, Fresno State, Air Force. They're the main branch of this. That's what's going to happen. And we'll go over it later on a later show, but I want to get to the other part of this story. Not Wyoming. The other part of the story is these valuations that are going back and forth. Washington State and Oregon State, the creation of a new PAC conference. is heavily, 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 heavily anticipating a Texas two-step, an inclusion of 2 Texas schools into the new Pac-12, Pac-10 conference. What would those schools be? Well, the number one target of the Texas schools would be UTSA. That would be target number one. And then all the other schools are in the mix. And we don't have clarification of it. We don't have, Rice, Texas State, Northern Texas, UTEP. We don't know. We have received information on almost all those schools. Not so much Texas State, but the other ones. UTEP, yes. We have received Rice. North Texas. So this is going on. Now, Tulane and Memphis and those schools, of course, the PAC conference, Washington State and Oregon State would take those 2 schools ahead of the Texas two-step, ahead of some of those Mountain West schools. So that's why this is all should be in pencil and not in pen. But the idea that Memphis and Tulane would be interested at this point, it doesn't exist. But the Mountain West schools, there's been communication between, of course, Oregon State, Washington State, and some of those Mountain West schools. You see that Washington State and Oregon State are not going to get a scheduling agreement with the Mountain West for 2025. The separation among those Mountain West schools, we believe, is going to happen. Exactly who, beyond Boise State and San Diego State, we don't quite know, obviously. A lot of it has, again, the dominoes. Remember, the biggest dominoes is the ACC implosion. If it happens within the next 9 months, Washington State and Oregon State are going to be looking at that credible option to join the ACC. They'll take that first. But if it doesn't happen in time, then the creation of a Frankenstein conference is going to happen. They're working on it. And Boise State and San Diego State are the 2 schools that are stirring the drink. And of course, a Memphis, of course, a Tulane, of course, possibly a couple other schools like a Navy. They would be wanted by Oregon State and Washington State. But the most credible outcome is 6 Mountain West schools, Washington State and Oregon State, and the Texas two-step. That is being talked about. Leading off with UTSA. Would UTSA be interested in joining the Mountain West Conference? Leaving the AAC behind? Leaving a Tulane behind? Leaving a Memphis behind? We shall see. But that is the story that is popping up. And there's a lot of work going on right now because they cannot wait. They cannot wait for the last moment. You can't do that. It's happening right now. It's why John Wilner is writing about it. And you're going to be seeing more articles about it. It's going on right now, and we're getting the leaks. We're being told. We're like, Washington State and Oregon State want this new Pac-12. They want this new Pac-12, Pac-10, whatever. They want to be in the state of Texas. They want their media partner. It's probably going to be Fox and somebody. The CW, they want to be in Texas. So if UTSA is not interested, you go to the next Texas school. You go to the next one. Is Rice going to be interested? You go to the next one. All that is happening right now. Okay, we're going to get you phone calls. You can talk anything you want in college football. Week 3, 763 260 1333 763 260 1333. Give us a call. Equal revenue sharing, going to be discussed. I'm sure. It's going to be very difficult. Very difficult to create a new conference and already start talking about unequal revenue sharing. Hawaii is in a tough spot. UTSA and Texas State are too close in proximity. And again, Texas State is the one that we are not hearing. There has the North Texas, Rice, UTSA are the 3. And then UTEP is a possibility. And then Texas State is kind of, at this point, is mostly left out of what we've been told. But we're going to include them anyways. That's a possibility. North Texas, Rice, UTSA. If I would have to rank them right now, it'd be UTSA number 1 and North Texas number 2.
Call from
Evil Badger.
Evil Badger, Ryan Willie is on the line. Thanks for calling, my man. The floor is yours. You getting ready for Bama?
Yes, I'm ready for Bama.
Yep.
And I'm sticking with my prediction of 31-28, Wisconsin. Yep. But that's not the game I want to talk about.
Okay.
I believe that Purdue will upset Notre Dame.
Ooh.
And Notre Dame will not make the CFP this year, which will force NBC to push Notre Dame into the Big Ten because of the losses that they've taken to mid-level teams over the last 2 years.
What do you think is going to happen to Notre Dame in 2 years?
What I said was, I believe NBC will push Notre Dame into the Big Ten because of the losses that they're taking to mid-level teams over the last couple of years.
Well, I've said this before. Go ahead.
And the value of their contract is losing value.
Yeah, it's a risk. It's a high risk for a media partner to have a standalone contract with one school, because if the school doesn't perform the way they thought they were going to, suddenly those games become less valuable. When you have a conference, when you have a slate of games, you have more of a plethora of games, of storylines that you could choose from to fill out your top line games, your tier 1 games for that particular week. The additions of Oregon and Washington and USC and UCLA have helped the Big Ten to be able to fill out those needs of the NBC, CBS, and Fox. And of course, the SEC has a lot of options in regards to, with the SEC, they have a lot of options to give ESPN. So yeah, when you're Notre Dame and you're having a tough year, you lose some games you shouldn't. Suddenly the viewership of those next few games on NBC takes a tailspin, and there's nothing that NBC can do about it. It's a high risk move by NBC to have this type of deal with Notre Dame, but they've had that relationship for decades, and I think it's going to continue on. But the question is, does it continue on as Notre Dame being a part of the Big Ten, or stay their independence? And you believe, Ryan Willie, that Notre Dame is going to get pushed in to the Big Ten by NBC. Do I have that correct?
Correct.
Interesting. Very interesting. Wisconsin 31, Bama 28. That is your final prediction.
Yes.
All right.
And Purdue 45, Notre Dame 31.
Wow. All right. We'll see. I believe Notre Dame is hurting, obviously. I like their backup quarterback, Steven Angeli. I think he might play a little bit against Purdue. I think he can play. They've got Menchie, another quarterback. Of course, they got C.J. Carr, a true freshman. Big hype behind that gentleman, but he ain't ready to play, I don't think, here in 2024. Notre Dame's hurting, no question about it. I'm even a little bit worried on their defensive, their linebackers. I'm in their defensive line. Their defense against the run game was terrible against Northern Illinois. But I don't have the faith in Purdue like you have faith in Purdue. I'm going to watch that game, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
All righty, sir.
All right. Well, thank you.
Appreciate it. Call again, Evil Badger. And thank you for your generosity once again, sir.
All
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Great call by Ryan Willie, 31-28. Wisconsin over Bama. We shall see. Me versus Echo Chamber. Respectfully, Greg, I disagree. Notre Dame losses aren't that big a deal.
Call from
BJ.
BJ, the floor is yours. How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up, Greg?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks, for letting me speak on your platform. Two things. The Notre Dame comment, I think Notre Dame is fine. I think the 12-team playoff provided even more value to the NBC deal that Notre Dame has. As long as Notre Dame is in the conversation for a playoff berth, I don't think their viewership is going to take a wane. I mean, fans may, it's good to pick at them, but viewership I don't think will wane until they are like legitimately not in the playoff picture. Whereas before in the 14 playoffs, this Northern Illinois loss would have been more damaging. It's not as damaging in my opinion, and I think the numbers and the viewership will show. They'll still be leading ESPN and leading the sports telecast. In terms of narrative and talking points. I think them joining the Big Ten is inevitable, but I don't think it's any time in the near future unless there's changes to access to the playoff. And I think the relationship that the new Notre Dame AD will build with Sankey and Petiti, I think it'll kind of reassure them that they have a space carved out for them.
Okay.
I don't know how you feel about that, but that's my opinion when it comes to Notre Dame.
Yeah, I've come to the Notre Dame is basically settled in until at least 2029, unless North Carolina goes someplace, right? If the ACC implosion happens, North Carolina just makes a move. I think then Notre Dame is going to make a move. That is what I believe. But is that going to happen? I don't know. If it doesn't, I think Notre Dame is settled in to where they're at until 2029, 2030.
I agree, and I also think too, as it relates to you brought up North Carolina. I really don't think North Carolina is going anywhere. I think they're similar to Notre Dame in the sense that ESPN is their home. They have so many inroads in terms of leadership, past and present, that has ties to North Carolina. And I think seeing ESPN, dissolve that relationship will push North Carolina, I think, more so to the Big Ten and the SEC. I think as long as ESPN takes care of their baby in North Carolina, I think they'll be fine. I just don't see ESPN jacking up that relationship because it's as strong as any relationship in college sports. You know, a lot of the CEOs of ESPN and the people who make decisions at ESPN have strong ties to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I don't see ESPN jacking up that relationship. I know like fans and people online want like disruption, but I just don't see it. I could be wrong, but that relationship lasts decades and decades.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it wouldn't be smart for ESPN to just dissolve that relationship because I think it will push North Carolina to Fox. You know, I don't know how you feel about that, but that's just my opinion as it pertains to North Carolina.
Well, I think you're bringing up a great point. Relationships are incredibly important in all of this. And there is a heavily established relationship between ESPN and the state of North Carolina. And that cannot be just shrugged off. One of the reasons why we believe that, you know, North Carolina is a lean SEC if they do leave the conference. One of the reasons. There's lots of reasons, but that we've been over 1,000 times. But I'm thankful that you're bringing up the component of relationships once again, because it is incredibly important. You bring up a good point.
I agree. Ultimately, ESPN has to take care of North Carolina. If they make a sweet deal where they move to the SEC but they're getting paid, cool, great. I just don't think they're going to leave North Carolina out to dry. That's my only point as it pertains to North Carolina. I think if you listen to the fans, they want probably the SEC. If you listen to the administrators, they probably want the Big Ten, similar to Colorado. Colorado's fans kind of wanted the Big 12, but a lot of the boosters and administrators love being situated on the West Coast and going to California, going to Seattle, and hitting that part. Ultimately, they ended up in the Big 12. But there was I live in Colorado, I'm a CU grad, and there was a stark line between do we stay in the Big 12 or do we stay in the Pac-12 or do we go back to the Big 12? And I think Deion Sanders and the AD both being Texas-centric kind of tilt the scales, and our president came from the Texas area too. It tilted the scales. But now, not to get too far off the point, but the Notre Dame thing, I think Notre Dame would be just fine. I think as long as they have access, that's all they worry about. Now, another thing you mentioned, I think about the PAC-2 and the Texas teams. What I think is interesting is I think the networks is driving it, right? We have to expand. We can't just be a one time zone conference in today's media-driven, content-driven era. And if you look at the options in Texas, in my opinion, and you can kind of correct me if I'm way off base, I think it's UTSA or nothing. I think UTSA has the most growth potential out of any school in Texas that's not named, that's not a Power 4, already a Power 4 brand. Mm-hmm. San Antonio is a top 10 populated city. It's large, it's growing.
And
it's kind of untapped.
In its research universe, it's gonna be growing crazy as a research university. So, yeah.
And it doesn't share the spotlight. Let's say Texas State's. It's a great school. It's in San Marcos. It's a suburb of Austin. So I don't necessarily think that it'll ever get a foothold in that market. Yeah. Whereas you could probably get a foothold in San Antonio. It's a big enough city where it can support a school like that.
And that's
North Tech.
Go ahead.
I'm listening, Greg. Greg. I interrupted you.
No. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
And also North Texas. You have North Texas. You have UTEP. I think football is just more in the bloodlines of Denton, Texas, and Dallas region than it is in El Paso. El Paso is a nice city. I wouldn't say football drives it, but if you ever been to Denton, Texas, it's a football place. A lot of the best the public high schools in this country is played in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I can see UNT and UTSA being targets simply because it's a football-centric market, and both of them has just way better growth potential than Texas State or UTEP.
Yep. And I think the chatter behind the curtain agrees with you. That's why basically it's UTSA first, North Texas second. Yep. Great call, man. Great call.
All right. You have a good one, Greg, and I'll talk to you later.
Beautiful. Appreciate it. BJ made a lot of great comments. One of his comments he made about Deion Sanders, Colorado. There was a lot of reasons why Colorado went to the Big 12. The main one is the Pac-12 could not get a media deal that held the value, that could compete with the Big 12, with an ACC going forward. But yeah, BJ mentioned the fact that, Deion Sanders, Texas, Big 12s in Texas, and of course the Pac-12 wasn't in the state of Texas. Well, again, as we've been told and we reported to you today, Oregon State and Washington State do not want to make the same mistake. They want in the state of Texas. Washington State wants to be able to recruit a football player in the state of Texas from a high school in the state of Texas and be able to say to him, look, we got a couple Texas schools in this conference. We're going to be coming down to Texas once a year on average to play an away game in the state of Texas. When we're going to be playing on average a one home game against a Texas school. And look, Texas is a part of our conference, and of course to the media partners, and of course the recruiting purposes and the money and all that. So yeah, you're good. Now the question is, we've answered. We know about the interest that Washington State and Oregon State have. The Texas two-step, that's what we're calling it here at Peek Around the Corner. And we're giving you the peek today. What we don't have, to be honest, is a measure of the interest of a UTSA of a North Texas. We do not have that. We don't have it. So we're gonna poke and prod. So keep your head on a swivel. We could be pushing the envelope here in the next month, letting you know more information, or there's going to be public reports on it eventually. So keep your head on a swivel. Make sure you become a member of our channel. Go to the link provided in the description box below the video. Become a member, because we have early peak Cloak and Dagger episodes. And we're probably going to drop that information there first, and we're going to be coming on live the next day, just like we did today. We dropped information first on our early peak episodes yesterday. So keep your head on a swivel. The Pittsburgh backyard brawl. I wouldn't mind Pittsburgh being in the Big 12, but I don't think it will happen. Yeah, we got a lot of, I think a lot of people would like that. I don't know. I mean, we have not heard of any interest of the Pittsburgh from Brett Yormark. It's not a school that's been mentioned. Pittsburgh, the backyard brawl, is a real rivalry. It is disliked by both camps. Can't wait to watch it. Now, Sergeant Pickles put up a comment earlier in the show about and of course I can't find it. But he says it's odd. Oh, here it is. Sergeant Pickles, good morning, Greg. Feels very odd, but Civil War and Apple Cup week is here. Week 3, the Civil War, Oregon State, Oregon, and Corvallis, and Washington State and Washington is being played. It is weird. And I know that next week, in week 4, it's going to be Iowa and Minnesota. That is extremely odd. Now, Minnesota always plays Wisconsin at the end of the year, but we always have Iowa near the end of the year, middle of the year or end of the year, close to the end of the year. And now we're playing them in the first Big Ten conference game of the year. So these larger conferences, more rivalry games, things that get pushed around. We're seeing big rivalry games earlier in the year. UTSA and the WAC and the PAC makes a lot of sense. Kenneth Evans, the Big 12 should be interested in adding any or all of Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, and Duke. John Drive, Miami, Duke, Virginia Tech, North Carolina State. Kill Bill, I'm glad we're getting the Apple Cup out of the way. Once this is over, we can just concentrate on improving over the year. Very interesting comment. Matthew Farmer, I'm not a fan of Louisville, but they are firmly in the discussion of the Big 12. We have reported here at Peek Around the Corner, third-party talks between Louisville and the Big 12 definitely did happen. Allegedly. Just to keep myself covered. It happened. Allegedly. So, we know that. So today we have covered, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and have your notifications turned on because we can come on live at any time. Any breaking news, whatever happens, we're going to be coming on here live. So make sure when you subscribe to our channel, turn on your notifications because there are some days we come on here twice, 3 times a day. So have those notifications turned on. If you are, if you like our content, please smash the like button. If you want to support this College Football Rebel Outpost channel with a donation, hit the $sign, or make a comment, and I'll get you super chat as quick as I possibly can. You can give us a phone call, 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. Give us a call, talk anything about college football that your heart desire. Is the team, your team, the team that you cheer for, who are they playing this week? Do you think, what do you think is going to happen? If the Beavs and the Cougs join the Big 12, then Yormark could arrange rivalry games almost every day of Thanksgiving week. Yeah, but, and again, we have said this 100 times. We have no information. In fact, we've been told no strongly. And the few times that we asked, we're not going to ask again. The Big 12 does not have interest in Washington State and Oregon State. Washington State and Oregon State's easily their best pathway back to the power conference status is the ACC implosion. That's why they're rooting for chaos, the ultimate chaos. Washington State and Oregon State want complete and total chaos in the ACC. They want a huge implosion. Because they're not getting into the Big 12. At least from what we have been told over and over again here at Peek Around the Corner. We have never, I know about every other college football channel out there, YouTube channel, I don't know, there's been a whole lot of reports, maybe it's going to happen, people on Twitter, on X, and we have always said, nope, we're not getting it, we're being told no, we're being told no, nope, this whole time. Brett Yormark sounds like the Big 12 presidents, they've made the decision, not going west again. They're going east. They might go up a little bit north, but they definitely might go a little bit south. They're going east once they expand again. Absolutely on the Clemson, Florida State increases playoff payouts immediately. Okay, I think we're going to shut it down for the day. Not for the day, but for this live show. No more phone calls. Looks to be coming in. I do appreciate you all coming on in. We did our selections for week 3. They are in the books. And I'm feeling confident, baby. I'm feeling confident. Greg the Gold. It's going to be a big week this week. I appreciate you all doing it and voting and taking your time. Again, subscribe to our channel and have that notifications turned on, because we could come on live at any time. So keep your head on a swivel. I appreciate the donations, the incredible generosity from the Evil Badger, Ryan Willie, Jimmy, Stormy Cyclone, and Ryan Thomas. Thank you for the phone call. BJ and Ryan Willie, I do appreciate it. Until next time, which could be later today. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.